We just spread out, yeah. Ted. Hey, Greg. Yeah.
Other side?
Yeah. You sit right there, Chancellor.
okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to block your map.
Well, good afternoon. Today is what I would call an intentional day. One of the things that we've done as we continue to demonstrate what Unite Little Rock truly means. We often talk about how we move from being disconnected to connected, but another component of that internal why are intentional efforts. Intentionality truly breeds unity, but also breeds growth and change. As we continue to implement policies and procedures throughout this administration, I think we all can attest that over the past 20 months, we've been very intentional. We've been able to move from platitudes to policies to proactive action. And so one of those actionable efforts has been the revitalization of Asher Avenue. To help revitalize an area, you must first focus on how do you enhance an area? How do you help bring more quality of life? And so in early 2020, we gave a directive to our planning and development director, Director Jamie Collins, as well as our Director of Public Works, John Honeywell, on intentional efforts within the Asher Avenue area, as well as, and more specifically, south of 630 and east of 30. You'll come to hear more announcements over the next couple of weeks about our intentional efforts south of 630 and east of 30. But today, we kick it off with Asher Avenue. Being a former highway commissioner, I understand that Asher Avenue, while it is utilized as a city street, is actually a state highway. And so we've worked very heavily with University of Arkansas at Little Rock, and most importantly, the Arkansas Department of Transportation to repave and resurface Asher Avenue, as well as South University going towards the Highway Department, if you're familiar with what we would call the gateway into UA Little Rock and also the gateway into Southwest Little Rock. That being said, we've seen that resurfacing and that repaving. That was an intentional effort to bring about more quality of life and a greater vibrancy for those travelers that are traveling those roads and the neighbors that live in that vicinity. But we wanted to be more intentional. And one of the things of that intentionality is our planning and development director working with the property owners within Asher Avenue, where there are come to know a history of structurally deficient commercial properties that happen to be vacant, that sometimes can breed enhanced criminal activity, sometimes can breed low quality of life. And so Director Collins had made some intentional efforts today, and I want him to come to the floor to share with us that. And before we come, I also want to say thank you to some members of the business community of Asher Avenue who are here. That's Mr. Brian Stewart, as well as Mr. Tracy Johnson, as well as, and when we really think about Asher Avenue, one of the main property owners of Asher Avenue is UA Little Rock, and we have Chancellor Christy Drale, who's also all about intentionality in south of 630 areas. Mr. Jamie Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First thing I'd like to talk about is just the process that we went through to look at the properties along Asher. And we started on the east side, which was Woodrow, and then we proceeded west towards University, and we investigated multiple structures within that corridor. What we're looking for was structures that have over years just degraded to a point that repair needed just for the revitalization of the area. So out of those, we chose several that were needed immediate repair or remediation on. And I want to point out that we did, not only did we send out communication, but we also reached out and contacted the property owners just to discuss the property and their intention for the property. Out of those three properties we chose, and I'll talk about three specific ones. One of them is on West 33rd, 5518 West 33rd. It was an existing building, a auto repair place, body shop that had fallen into disrepair due to a fire damage. The fire inside the building took care of most of the inside of the building, but the outside of the building still is structurally sound as far as the steel structures is concerned. So our concern with that property owner, we met with them, is just what was their intention of the building? When do they intend to repair the building? Because it was an unsafe structure, needed to be took down, and also needed to be, the property needed to be cleaned up. I'm proud to announce that they had sold the property and went to the new property owner, and they are rehabilitating the building. They're preparing plans to turn into the city to develop that and expand a business. Another one was at 4500 Asher. This property had been there for a while with a dilapidated building, and within the past several years, a portion of the roof had fallen in. The structure was in disrepair. We met with the property owner, talked with them about their intention of, are they going to rehabilitate the building? Are they going to demolish the building? But something needed to happen to that building. We were informed that the property owner decided to demolish the building themselves and is currently seeking an environmental study just to determine what type of environmental impact of that building demolition is needed, and then they plan on preparing bids to continue with that. The last building I'd like to talk about is 3004 Lewis. It was about a block south of the Asher Avenue corridor, but it was a building that in the past had been used for storage, warehouse type building. And just for years, mainly the siding and also the roof has fell in disrepair. So we met on site with the property owners just to speak about what could be done with the building and their intention of that building. They have proposed to us that they are going to rehabilitate that building, and they have engaged an architect in that preparation to do that building, to turn it into office, mixed-use type of building. So we're looking forward to receiving those plans and reviewing them, and look forward to the rehabilitation of those buildings. And in doing so, and the mayor is going to speak on this a little bit later, we would talk to them about potential incentives to help them out in that rehabilitation. With that.
Before we swiftly move to the incentives portion, as we all know, one of the anchoring institutions not only in the state's capital city and Asher Avenue area, any great city must have a great higher educational system and a higher education university and college. And so we're blessed to have a plethora of colleges and universities in the state's capital city, from our HBCUs to whether it's Arkansas Baptist College, or whether it's Philander Smith College, or whether it is also UA Little Rock, which is our state's capital city university. Now today we have Chancellor Christy Drale, who will speak to this revitalization, as they are an anchoring owner, an anchoring institution not only in this city, but the state. Chancellor Drale.
It was 1949 when UA Little Rock's predecessor institution, Little Rock Junior College, moved to the current location on the corner of University Avenue and Asher Avenue. We are proud of that history, and we're proud that UA Little Rock has long been an anchor in this important crossroads entrance to our city. We have a large stake and presence in the Asher corridor, near the intersection with University Avenue. Our campus in recent years expanded to the south side of Asher Avenue. In addition to owning the Plaza shopping center, we also own the Village Apartments across the street, where dozens of our students live and go back and forth to class and dining every day. As well, we also own Coleman Sports Complex, home to our women's soccer team and our men's and women's track teams, and that sits just behind the Village Apartments. Currently, we monitor pedestrian access across Asher to these facilities, and we're also, somewhat concerned about improving conditions for that area. We're really interested in working with the city to create a safe and attractive entrance to these facilities. Our most significant plans for UA Little Rock property on Asher Avenue is the redevelopment of the Plaza Shopping Center. and that is located also on the corner of Asher and University. We've owned this property for a number of years, and we've used it to house various of our departments and units that needed extra space. It is home to our public radio stations, KUAR, KLRE, and several other units. However, our plans have always been to rebuild this center with a focus not just on our campus needs, but also how those might intersect with the interests of business and the concerns of the community in which we live. So this is a really important project for us. We hope to begin that redevelopment process this year in order to potentially use this space for retail, restaurant, and a variety of other cultural activities alongside campus needs. A redeveloped center on the south end of UA Little Rock campus will provide an important face to the Asher Avenue corridor. It will add to the positive development the mayor sees for this part of Little Rock, and we are excited to be a part of these changes. We will work with neighborhoods and other stakeholders to create a center that serves the campus and the community. Some 20 years ago now, we created the name University District as the designation for this part of Little Rock. University District is also a collaboration with UA Little Rock and our surrounding partners to increase home ownership, job growth, public safety, and neighborhood amenities in the area of Little Rock, of which our campus is a center. UA Little Rock provides staffing and structure for the University District Development Corporation. For 2 decades, the UDDC has been working with the city, neighborhoods, banks, real estate, and housing professionals to improve critical infrastructure and build and restore existing homes and new homes that also meet the needs of the community. The University District is full of potential for growing new businesses, attracting new residents, and for becoming a new region of exciting opportunity in Little Rock. The University District Office, the UDDC, the Arkansas Small Business Technology Development Center, and the Arkansas Economic Development Institute are all resources located at UA Little Rock that bring professional assistance to the work that the mayor and the city are outlining for the Asher Avenue project. These offices, along with the rest of the university, stand ready to be collaborators with Mayor Scott and the city of Little Rock in this significant endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Drale. That is, again, more exciting news on what's going to be happening in Asher Avenue Revitalization area, where you are seeing now public-private partnerships where our anchoring institution of our university, the state's capital city university, and UA Little Rock, partnering with the city of Little Rock to truly reimagine and reinvest and to revitalize this particular area south of 630. As we all are aware, and looking forward to continuing to focus more on efforts with quality of life and place, as well as economic development. That being said, as we talk about economic development, we're going to swiftly have a segue into our second portion of this press announcement, this press conference. As we talked about earlier about intentionality, we believe that if you're not intentional, nothing else matters. And as we think through that, in this, our nation's social and civil unrest era, my generation's Emmett Till moment of what we've been seeing this summer of reckoning in the areas of justice and accountability. One of the things that focuses on this Unite Little Rock message that we've continued to not only share in word but in deed over the last 20 months is that we are guided by 3 pillars. That is justice, equitable economics, and eradication of racism. And as we have those 3 pillars, we're led by the light of intentionality. And so one of those efforts, one of many efforts that you'll continue to see over the next few weeks of intentionality from this city, what we've been doing for the past 20 months and what we'll continue to do as long as we're blessed to serve, is to be intentional. And so when we think about south of 630 and the history of not as much economic development as we've seen in other areas of our city, we have to have decisive and intentional efforts to spur economic development. And so we had to figure out different ways to spur that. And so one of the things that we plan to do, and we're planning to announce right now through a strategic partnership with the City of Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority, and Central Arkansas Water, is Little Rock's first ever south of 630, east of 30 incentive package to incent economic development right here in our city. This is a game changer. It's a first step to help spur more economic development south of 630 and east of 30, particularly in the areas of our opportunity zones. We also know opportunity zones were not solely selected by the city of Little Rock, and so there were areas of low income and low to moderate income areas that were not included for the entire city. We are a big city. And so that being said, we are including some additional areas into our opportunity zones, which will have significant portions of Ward 6 and Ward 7 that will play a role in this incentive package. The incentive package includes, from the city of Little Rock, if you plan to build and need a building permit, whether it's commercial or residential, here in the city of Little Rock, in those south of 630, east of 30 areas, we will waive building permit fees, which is a big portion of many different development costs, that we will waive those particular fees as we move forward. We've partnered with both Central Arkansas Water and Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority to provide a waiving of fees and also reduction of costs to have a total infrastructure incentive package for south of 630, east of 30. This is a very much so an intentional matter that will help garner more economic development support and activity in south of 630, east of 30 areas. I want to say that we're excited about this. We have more details and more plans to announce in the coming weeks. Now I want to segue briefly to both of the leaders of Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority. We'll have Greg Ramon, and immediately following Greg Ramon, we'll have Tad Bohannon. Well, actually, Tad Bohannon will go first, Central Arkansas Water, then Greg Ramon.
Good morning. Very happy to be with you all today. You know, as we stand in this beautifully revitalized ballroom at Robinson Auditorium, we see what can happen when our community comes together and works in one direction to make our community better. We see it as we look over the Arkansas River and the riverfront parks and the bike trails, that when our community works together, we're our best. And so Central Arkansas Water is proud to help in this incentive to revitalize areas of our town that need that help, that need that assistance. People don't think about it, but an empty storefront or a vacant lot is a burden on ratepayers. There's no revenue coming in, yet the infrastructure under the ground to provide water and wastewater to folks has to be revitalized. So working with Greg at Little Rock Water Reclamation and the mayor's office, we're excited to be a part of this. And CAW will be happy to work with developers and homeowners that try to go in and redevelop their property to make sure that they can have water service on their lots in a way that's affordable, in a way that they can move forward with their plans without undue financial burdens. And we're excited about that opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you. Greg Ramon is my name, and I am the person in charge of the Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority. Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority is here to serve the sanitary service needs to the domestic and non-domestic folks in the city of Little Rock. Our mission is to protect public health and the environment while reclaiming our most precious resource, and that is water, not only for today, but for tomorrow. We're definitely very committed in serving the city of Little Rock and its citizens and providing an opportunity for revitalization. And as Ted pointed out, revitalization helps everyone. This environment redevelopment is so important because it provides a foundation for a city to build off of and to improve the lives of its citizens. It creates a strong, diverse community and also attracts and keeps talent, starts businesses, grows businesses, and also overcomes issues that arise. In short, it is good for the community as a whole, and we're very proud to be part of this endeavor. Thank you, Mayor.
As we come to a close, I promise not only the business owners of Mr. Tracy Johnson and Brian Stewart, as well as Chancellor Christy Drale, we would be very swift. We're approaching 22 minutes now. We've covered a lot of ground, but again, this ground that we're covering is focused on how do we enact justice, how do we enact equitable economics, and how do we focus on quality of life and place here in the city of Little Rock, the state's capital city. This is an exciting day as we revitalize Asher Avenue. It's an exciting day as we work in partnership with the anchoring institution of the like of UA Little Rock to also revitalize Asher Avenue, focusing on retail development along that corridor area. It's an exciting day to work with our property owners that are part of that area as well. And it's an exciting day to show this strategic partnership between the City of Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority, and Central Arkansas Water, as we all are focused on one thing: how do we develop, how do we redevelop, and how do we increase more vibrancy south of 630 and east of 30 for this day and forevermore. That being said, we'll now open the floor for questions, and I'll ask the members that are beside me if they'll relieve themselves to the left, because I know you guys have been standing up here pretty long.
Mr. Mayor, how do you plan to deal with the headwinds that exist for retail in general, not just in undeveloped neighborhoods?
Thank you for the question. The question was, how do you intend to deal with the headwinds of retail in general? We wake up each and every day and we go to work. That's how we intend to do it. All business owners, as you're seeing right now, are going through a lot as it relates to COVID-19 and navigating through those woes and making strategic decisions to continue to live another day. And we support our businesses and we support growth and development, and this is yet another way to help those businesses to locate in an area where they may not have to worry about some strategic costs from that standpoint. But as it relates to retail, we're beginning to see the retail is still moving in this way. It's a different phenomenon as we move forward, and we want to stand ready to be helpful in any way possible that a city can to our retail development, as well as in our partnership with UA Little Rock, as they are focused on retail development along the Asher Avenue area. Next question, Rachel.
What's the timeframe of scope of this project? Do you have like a certain number of buildings you're trying to reach out to the owners of, or?
Well, Jamie, if you'll talk about the time frame with the three projects, and then
In general, the time frame for the three projects is, this was really a first phase of a multi-phase program that we're looking at. Asher was wanting to get some type of movement on these properties within 3 months. Right now, we're about the third week into that 3-month process, and that was part of, as the mayor spoke about, intentionality of meeting with the property owners, not just sending a letter. We wanted to discuss with them their intentions for the property, so that we can work with them to find the best avenue to revitalize that property. In some aspects, that may be demolishing the building and taking it to the ground. In other aspects, it could just be revitalization of the building itself. And you know, it could also, and one of the properties we're looking at, the last one we talked about was the warehouse. It could also be a rezoning of the property, a change of use of the property, in which we would go through the procedure for that through the board, which that may extend that time frame more to about the 4 or 5 month process to get that zoning in place so they can occupy the building with the correct use. But that still 3-month process is trying to get it started, and where we have a path and a go to complete those properties.
And Chancellor Drale shared that UA Little Rock had been working, as we all said, these are things that we started at the early beginning of 2020, pre-COVID. And so the UA Little Rock has been going on since pre-COVID, and now that we've kind of gotten used to navigating through a crisis, they're restarting those efforts at UA Little Rock. One final question. Rachel?
So what are the next 2 phases? That was the first phase that you mentioned?
Well, the first phase was Asher Revitalization. The second phase was UA Little Rock and their partnership with their revitalization. And the third phase was our economic development efforts in the Little Rock's first ever incentive package for South of 630. So those were the 3 phases. Now we have some more projects that we'll be announcing here in the next few weeks as well. Thank you, everyone.